All right, folks, this is hilarious. Donald Trump was visibly humiliated as his ridiculously petty, expensive, and authoritarian military birthday parade brutally flopped right in front of him with paltry low attendance. Meanwhile, on the same day, across all 50 states, at least 5 million Americans participated in a No Kings protest condemning Trump and this parade. And now, Trump allies in media and the administration are desperately trying to spin the facts in their favor, making them look all the more pathetic as they get mocked. But before we unpack all that, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. All right, friends, I want to start with this clip here. It's towards the end of Trump's, again, humiliating military birthday parade. He looks visibly disappointed and stands there awkwardly, and a military aide has to actually step on the stage and whisper into his ear, like, "Sir, you're just standing here. The parade is over. It's time to go."
Ranger School is the best life insurance for our Army. It will always end with two people facing off with each other, and we need young leaders to be able to close with and destroy the enemy and defend our nation's interests forward.
Surrender is not a Ranger word. It's not an option. I know that I'm not going to be able to get to do this again. This is my chance.
Watch him slink and shuffle off the stage in embarrassment because this did not turn out the way he wanted. It's such a black mark on his record of public spectacle. This is a man who prioritizes crowds and the size of his crowds above anything else. You'll remember that during their one and only presidential debate in last year's election cycle, that was how Vice President Harris got under Trump's skin, was by mocking his crowd size, and it tripped him up, it triggered him, and it's upset him for the duration, the remainder of the debate, totally got him off his game. And you just see it here, it's etched all over his face, and it's so bad, he's in such denial that an aide has to come like, "Sir, it's time to go." Almost like a vaudeville skit, right? You know, from the silent movie era and shortly after, where they would grab a cane and yank people off stage. That's how that was. And watching him shuffle away in embarrassment and defeat was just chef's kiss. Love to see it. Now, of course, his right-wing dipshit cultists will say, "Listen, this has nothing to do with Donald Trump's birthday. What are you talking? This is about the 250th anniversary of the United States Army." Except at one point, Donald Trump was saying happy birthday to by what little crowd was there and presented a commemorative flag by a uniformed soldier, which is typically reserved for those family members whose relatives are in uniform and die in combat, die on the job in the military, right? Their next of kin tends to get a commemorative flag. And yet this honor was given to Trump simply because of his birthday. Pathetic and gross. That's all this was about in the end for Trump, a birthday bash.
This flag, which was flown over our nation's capital in free fall during the Army's 250th birthday celebration.
Super gross. Super gross. And again, they say on behalf of the United States Army. And I would feel that way, by the way, if any president, including President Biden, whose son was a veteran, whose son is deceased, if he were to be given a flag like that in a spectacle like that. That's reserved for something private, not a birthday bash. And again, Trump has no reason to receive a flag like that other than it's his birthday. It's super pathetic. Before we get, again, to some of the reactions, some other really degrading moments, some of Donald Trump's sponsors and political donors were given a shout out during the parade. Really, really undignified.
Special thanks to our sponsor, Coinbase.
pathetic, just unbelievable. Unbelievable. I mean, again, so bad that Marco Rubio, Secretary of State, he looked visibly bored being subjected to this entire disgrace. I mean, there are people looking at their phones, but they just don't want to be here, but they're afraid to not be here because of the cultish grip that their boss has over them in the Republican Party. Stephen Chung, who is genuinely one of the most despicable members of the Trump administration. You don't hear about him a lot because he's not a cabinet official, but he's part of Trump's senior staff. He's the director of communications. This guy is the most vicious troll you have ever seen in the Trump administration. As somebody who's on the official payroll, makes Caroline Leavitt look like the most civil, most polite, most good faith actor in the world. This is her boss, Stephen Chung. Terrible person, incredibly dishonest, incredibly rude, and should be relentlessly made fun of for the rest of his life. I mean, genuinely an evil person, despicable. So Stephen Chung says, amazing. Despite the threat of rain, over 250,000 patriots showed up to celebrate the 200th anniversary of the U.S. Army. God bless the USA. Well, again, as we know, it's not about the Army to Trump. It's actually about his birthday. And the 250th anniversary line is such horseshit. The estimates, everyone is reporting this. They might have gotten tens of thousands, but certainly not hundreds of thousands. They were exponentially off the mark. The turnout was paltry. It was embarrassing, especially for someone like Trump who values crowd size and attendance above all else. That's the thing he values the most. This was pathetic. But then Stephen Chung tries to go further. He's desperate. The so-called No Kings protests have been a complete and utter failure with minuscule attendance. It is sad Democrats and liberals would rather support criminals and illegals instead of celebrating the 200th anniversary of our great U.S. Army and Flag Day. But many more Americans are commemorating our brave military men and women who have given the ultimate sacrifice and who continue to serve our country. Of course, he's getting brutally mocked in the comments section, as well he should. Again, this guy deserves nothing but your contempt. He is the personification of all that is cruel and indecorous in the Trump administration. So, bullying him, I think, is just really good. It's an American. You want to demonstrate your patriotism, relentlessly make fun of Stephen Chung every chance you get. Again, brutally mocked, being brought the receipts of how well the No Kings protest did by comparison. Doug Landry has a really good, extensive thread, having participated, or rather attended the parade, about how terrible it was. I just got back from the Trump parade, and I have to say, it was legitimately the worst executed mass attendance event I've ever seen. One overarching thought: how do you spend $80 million and fumble the basics? My many thoughts. And he goes like this. I've also planned an event on the mall that was a little larger than this, and it was 14 days notice and a tiny fraction of the budget, but who's counting? Again, going like this, let's go chronologically through. Somehow this checkpoint was closed by 6 p.m. The parade started 30 minutes later. They had miles of bike racks set up. Somehow I don't think this was their designed plan. So this was funneled everyone to single checkpoint. About 15,000 people were trapped on Constitution Avenue because there was just one 10-foot wide entrance point to access that massive checkpoint at the mall. The poor soldier probably passed Ranger School with flying colors, but he wouldn't last 2 days as a campaign crowd advance guy trying to negotiate this shit. So the layout, just logistically, this was terrible. It was a failure of epic proportions. Now, with respect to the No Kings protest, as NPR and others have noted, organizers estimated that more than 5 million people participated in more than 2,000 planned protests, according to spokesperson Eunice Ortiz. While protests were peaceful, police in Culpeper, Virginia, arrested a man who, quote, intentionally accelerated his vehicle into the dispersing crowd at the end of a protest. One person was hit, but no one was hurt. So in many of these places, there was an official designated time for the protest. So here in Charlotte, North Carolina, it went from 11 till 2. And then after 2, that was the end of the official protest, and people were supposed to leave because there was a pre-planned route that was protected by the police, and it basically blocked off a lot of uptown Charlotte. It's like, okay, for 3 hours, you can, do your march and your protest, but then afterwards, you got to go. Totally fair. Now, of course, hundreds of people still remained, even though the vast majority dispersed at that point. And again, despite that, despite the fact that you were dealing with 5 million people at least in 50 states, these were by and large peaceful. and there were little to no incidents even at the official events, which is just staggering when you consider how decentralized it is. It's a staggering rate of peaceful protest. And the numbers just simply dwarf that of Donald Trump's. I mean, look at the pictures. The Atlantic cobbled many together. Demonstrators in Cincinnati participate in the No Kings National Day of Action on June 14th. I mean, stunning. You've got, oh my God, look at that crowd. Thousands gather in front of the Idaho State Capitol, deep red Idaho. People take part in the No Kings protest in Asheville, North Carolina, which is north from Maine. Thousands of demonstrators flood the streets of Charlotte, North Carolina. Yep, there you go, right there. That was the protest that we were at. I mean, it was massive. I'm still waiting to see what the estimate was. I think some have said like 7,000, 8,000. I'd like to see. It felt like more, but of course, at various points, we were in a long line. And just, again, all across the country, protesters in Boston. The ones in Chicago, Los Angeles, and New York City were truly staggering. I showed you some of the clips yesterday. No point in revisiting them all again. But again, even in deep red states, like it's really, truly stunning. Hutch, a friend of the show, political commentator, and my co-host on my Live and Learn stream, he was there. He lives in California, and according to him, the official estimates are 15,000 just in Los Angeles alone. Stunning stuff. All right, so let's take a look here as well. One of the things, again, since this is so humiliating for Trump, that I did was I took a screenshot here of that soldier coming up and telling a visibly humiliated Trump that it's time to leave. And I said on my channel, give a like and funny caption to this soldier instructing a sad Trump to leave his shitty birthday day parade. We had more than 1,000 responses, so let's take a look. One of mine was, yes, sir, the First Lady is asking to be escorted to the No Kings protest in Alexandria. That's funny. Yes, sir, like I said 10 minutes ago, this really is everyone. Let's see some others. Quote, no, sir, the submarines will not be making an appearance. That's funny, and of course it talks about how stupid Trump is, because Trump is the sort of person who would probably believe that a submarine could just sail through, Washington, D.C. streets. Janine Pirro and Pete Hegseth are pissed. They say you promised an open bar. Sir, do you still have the crowd photos that were used to enhance your inauguration? Looks like we need them again. That's pretty funny. Sir, with tears in my eyes, Melania's mandatory scheduled time is up and her helicopter's here. That's funny, because, of course, Trump talks about all the time. People come up to me. They say, sir, tears in their eyes. That's a pretty good one. Yes, sir, it truly is raining on your parade. So the numbers are in, not what we expected, sir. Should I get Fox News to blame Joe Biden? Wake up, sir. It's time for your changing. Mr. President, can we wind this up so we can go party at the No Kings protest? No, sir. No one else is coming. Happy 250th birthday, sir. No, sir. It doesn't get better. The parade ended half an hour ago while you were napping. Sir, even the village people didn't show up. Mr. President, you really don't need a mic for just these 15 people wearing birthday hats. It's been a huge success, sir. I've never seen so many people just around the corner. We'll have you home in a second. Traffic is light. Oh, man, let's keep going. Trust me, the stealth planes just flew over because, of course, Trump thinks that stealth planes are literally invisible, like the Wonder Woman's jet, excuse me. I used up one Melania appearance voucher for this. She said, not even on our birthday, sir. Mr. President, your ketchup and wall are waiting. Reportedly, Trump, when he'll throw a tantrum, will throw a McDonald's hamburger and smear walls with ketchup. Sir, we have some numbers on how many people are not here. Sir, no one likes a wet taco. Taco, of course, being that reference to Trump always chickens out. Oh, gosh, that one's dark. This one's dark here. Sir, we couldn't find anyone to shoot in the legs. It's over, show's over. You may recall that Trump told his then Secretary of State, Mark Esper, in his first administration, whether it would be okay to shoot peaceful protesters in the leg to deter them, of course, which would be a war crime and highly illegal. Gosh, it's so many good ones here. Sir, your diaper's leaking. A lot of incontinence jokes, making fun of Trump's age. Yeah, this is pretty good stuff. You all should definitely check this out. And I appreciate to those of you on the channel who responded to all of this. I love the look on FDJT's face. Excuse me. He's going to throw one hell of a tantrum. They're not just not that into you, sir. Love it. Love it. Okay, folks, definitely appreciate you replying on that. That was a lot of fun. It's always good. It's spiritually warming and heartening to make fun of Donald Trump because, of course, he deserves it. But yeah, this was a brutal flop. Trump was visibly humiliated. You could see the disappointment etched on his face. It cost the taxpayers an estimated $40 to $45 million just for this ridiculously authoritarian birthday parade, and that really is all it's about. We've provided the evidence. Even Fox News gave it away. Oh, Trump is deciding to share the spotlight with the U.S. Army. Everybody knows this was about aggrandizing Trump, and now his team is panicking, trying to, to spin this in a way which is favorable to him. But the fact of the matter is the No Kings protests were infinitely more successful, drew infinitely greater attendance, and this should be very encouraging to those of you during these dark times who see right-wing media and the right-wing dominate online spaces. That's not necessarily indicative of the real world. And Trump is highly, highly unpopular and incredibly disliked. And Americans, the majority of them recognize him for what he is already. And it looks like an increasing number are doing so as well. So our victory is not guaranteed. Don't take it for granted, but there are reasons to be hopeful. In the meantime, let me know what you think in the comments.